Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Inkwell Beach, and please grab a seat.
Good morning, everybody. Coming here, my main overall goal was growth. I understand that coming here as young as I am, being in the HBCU program, I have an opportunity that not a lot of other students my age have. So while I'm here, I wanted to be able to network, grow my mindset, grow my knowledge, connect with others, gain opportunities, really just learn from the best and soak everything in because this is an opportunity that people that my age is really don't often get. And so I'm very grateful to come here, and I feel like throughout the week I definitely honored that goal of growth. I was able to talk to people, learn from people, create genuine relationships, and really just grow overall as a person.
Good morning, everybody. I would say that my intention here was to take full advantage of the opportunity I had. I knew that being here was not cheap, first off, and I was here for free. And the least I could do was, represent for myself, my family, and CCDC. So whether that meant walking up to somebody, or talking to the person next to me, whatever I could do to take advantage of that opportunity, even if it was getting coffee for somebody, just starting those genuine relationships, whatever I could do to get my foot in the door, I did. So just taking advantage of the opportunity when it comes up and, not being afraid of it.
I'd certainly say a top priority throughout the conference, as I'm sure other ambassadors share as well, would be understanding the global perspective and impact of DE&I efforts for creative but also institutional problem solving. Looking at the speakers beforehand, doing the research, obviously there were some serious players, as we've all seen through the panels throughout the week. But coming into the conference, right, a very important focus, especially coming with the Black American lived experience, is seeing how both professionals in the DE&I space are looking at diversity, equity, inclusion as an institutional level, right? But also what that does for the business on a global scale. And it's especially important for Black creators, the future of the Black media industry, to be aware of the global impact of our stories. So coming here, I'm sure all of us on stage as well, the other CCDC ambassadors, knew there'd be a great opportunity to shake hands organically, to talk to somebody across the street that actually, for example, an entrepreneur on stage who has a different lived experience, but still has the base need of creative problem solving. And so it was a joy to offer that with a perspective of a DE&I lens, but also with a business acumen. And so when we shared those stories, when we shared our experiences, it was amazing, even in reflection now that we're coming towards the end, that it seems like we were able to do that.
Absolutely. And Emmanuel, I want to actually double tap on that. And I think the common thread between everyone's experience was really the importance of those connections and taking advantage of the opportunity at hand. I know we had a long week of programming, from conversations with Spike Lee to meditations in the Mediterranean to private tours of the awards. I would love to hear from each one of you. What was the most impactful panel or experience? Abby, I feel like I can guess yours, and I might actually start with you because you had a pretty incredible moment yesterday.
Yes, I did have a mind-blowing moment yesterday. I had the great opportunity again to go sit down and have a conversation with Spike Lee, and he explained his story of living in a household where his artistic expression was never hidden away. It would never had to hide because he was supported by his family. And I come from a different experience, so I asked him what's some advice you would give to someone who doesn't have that type of family, who's really supportive of your creative side. And the craziest thing happened. He got my mother's number to call her and tell her, you need to support your daughter in her art and in her artistic expression. And that's something that was really big for me. Some background, I am Caribbean, and in that Caribbean community, the most important jobs are being a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer. It's really ironic that out of all 4 of her kids, I'm the only one doing music, and her other 3 want to be that lawyer, that doctor, that scientist. So it's been a little hard on my journey of getting my mother's full-fledged support. And, you know, she's been opening up, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it's always what else is on your table when music doesn't work out. And I'm very thankful that he was able to see me in my passion and see how much I loved it, for him to go out of his way and say, you know what, I'm going to call your mom and have a talk with her. So that was an amazing experience for me. I'm a little nervous because I know I'm going to get that phone call after she gets off the phone with him. But I'm very excited to see how her perspective changes after that conversation.
My favorite panel was with Denise, and I just loved his passionate way to talk about his work, you know. And I also loved that he said that creativity is everything for him, and creativity is the base of everything he does. So he said that if he's capable to record a song, he's also capable to build a website. He's also able to take a photography, and that's what an artist is to me, you know. Someone who is capable, who is able, who can make artists out of different places, different ways, you know. This multiple creativity is something that I really try to bring in my work. Like, even if I'm writing an email, you know, even if I'm in a meeting, you know, making a presentation, I want to be creative. So seeing Denise talking about it was very inspirational for me.
We had an excellent panel yesterday here with representatives from Group Black, Essence, and the NAACP. And it was impactful to see the gentleman on stage speak to empowering Black creators on a global scale again, going back to that international perspective, especially when we were talking about the future of content creation, right? There's been, overall at the conference, an integrated conversation of what does the future of automation, AI, technology in general look like, especially when it relates to the Black creative experience. So it's very impactful to see those gentlemen talking about, obviously, where we've come so far, right? How hard we've had to work to be in the room. And then once we're in the room, the creativity that spawns from our conversations, how do we take that and then use that to drive further impact in the world? Each of those respective organizations, just on face value, right, have a lot of weight to those names. So also, I'd say, again, for all the panels here as well as other stages, it's very impactful to see the humility of those folks, right? Women and men with serious titles, serious positions, and serious opportunities to drive growth and change for their businesses, talking to the panel moderators and the ambassadors and other attendees with a very human perspective. So it was great to have that balance.
I don't know if I could choose one panel, to be honest with you, that was like that I could say like was just, oh my goodness, because every single one was, you know. So I will say probably the most impactful one would be yesterday. Our shout out from Kirk McDonald. That was pretty crazy. I would say that was there's no words for it, to be honest. To be able to get that, and then the opportunities that opened up because of it, and just alone because we were able to just go up and talk, you know, and be confident in ourselves and go up and be able to say, hey, I know you're busy, but I just want to introduce myself. I would say that was probably the most impactful time in the panel. But I would say every panel that we were at, like regardless if it was here or TikTok or WPP or Pinterest or anywhere, like, because if you were here, you were somebody, you know. You were meant to be here. So I would say that moment was probably the most impactful.
With so many amazing panels this week, they definitely made it very hard to choose. But I'll say the one that impacted me the most was probably the Talk About Inclusion hosted by Procter & Gamble. I think on yesterday, last morning, the way that they were very transparent on their entire fight to try to get to inclusion, their wins, their losses, how they did it, what they did that didn't work, what they did that did work. They were very open with us, very vulnerable, and told us that this is a fight that we're still fighting, but this is how we're doing it, and this is how we're trying to include all of you. And so when I saw that they were putting in such a great effort to include more people that look like me, that really just impacted me like beyond words can imagine. Like, it was an amazing experience. I would definitely go home, tell all my friends about it, try to implement those factors into my organizations at home and things that I'm a part of, just because they do such a great job at it, and I learned so much from them. So.
I mentioned it earlier, but this was the first year that we invited students from HBCUs to attend and be a part of the Ambassador Collective. I'd love to hear from the three of you. How was it navigating this experience as a student? And Miles, I'll start with you.
Navigating this as a student has definitely been nothing short of amazing, actually. Coming here so young, being able to talk to so many important and amazing people, and being able to get such amazing information at such a young age, I'm just beyond grateful for the way that I feel like it set me up for my future. It allowed me to gain information that I probably wouldn't have until 7, 10 years from now. And so with that information, I'm so grateful, and I plan to use that throughout the rest of my college career. Take it back to my North Carolina A&T, take it to my friends, take it to my family, and really just use it to continue to go in the right direction and move forward.
Navigating as a student, you have to definitely understand that I'm at a different level than, everyone else. But at the same time, I'm at a level where I can definitely talk and hold a conversation and be in that same space as them because we have the same understanding. It was definitely great to see people's personal journeys. That way it'll help me with my own journey. There's a few HBCU people here, and just hearing their experience as an HBCU alumni, hearing their experience as a creative who looks just like me, is like, okay, I see you, I hear you, I understand you, and I'm going to take everything that you gave me and I apply it back into my own life, my own journey, and always got to drop my school, Dillard University. Again, my main goal was to be an advocate, so definitely seeing people's reaction to me being a student was something that was different. It was something that made me feel proud of, my blackness, proud of my standing as a student, proud of, hey, I'm here, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing for the sake of my school, and definitely making those connections that I can take back again to my university. So that's the deal.
I would say navigating this as a student was an experience I'll never forget. Just being able to walk through here, knowing that I still have time, like knowing that I still have to go back and go to school in August, and be able to show this to my friends and everybody. Oh, first off, I got to shout out Morehouse College, the Morehouse College. First I gotta get that out the way, but I would say that just getting experience and meeting everybody, and even meeting people who went to my school. Like, dude was walking down the street with a Morehouse hat on, and I would just be able to stop and be like, oh, yeah, I'm class of 26. We getting to have that conversation. And even Spike Lee, before he even said anything to me, it was, throwing up our stuff. So I would say coming here as a student is an experience I will never forget. And like they said, our age, we have so much time, and seeing the faces of people when they were like, you're 19, or like, oh, like, how did you get here? Like, those conversations were just, it was a confidence booster, like extremely confidence booster. So going back to school, being able to have that confidence to be like, I belong here. It's probably the best thing about it.
Yeah, our HBCU students showed up and showed out. I think everybody in here probably heard from an executive or even people on our team of just how incredibly you guys showed up. So thank you for that. Like, you were a great representation of not only CCDC, but your respective universities. You should be so proud. And something that I'd love to hear about our wonderful creators who are very, very talented in their own rights. On Wednesday, we had our Day of Disruption. I'm curious to hear from the both of you how you want to continue to disrupt this industry. And Danny, I'll start with you.
I will pass the mic. I have to think. I'll talk later. I'm gonna think of my answer.
Sure. I'm reminded, a wonderful question too, and the Day of Disruption, the theme, right? One of our fearless leaders, Adrian, talked about going from the woe is me to the wow is me, right? And I'm also, in that essence, reminded of a quote from Annie Pearl Avery of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I had the opportunity to meet her during a college tour back when I was in undergrad. Not at HBCU, but forgive me, right? But she said, you must be aggressive about your education. The rest of that sentiment obviously was captured in that sentence. And from that day, I've carried that through with me my entire career today. And being in this space, I'm realizing how important it is to be aggressive about not only your education, but how you want to be disruptive, right? And so to answer your principal question, I'm really excited in answering twofold. One, connecting each other here to opportunities. And then two, especially for the other ambassadors in the room, realizing the power of horizontal mentorship. So in the first essence, we are here, the excellent partners at Group Black, in Essence, and NAACP, everybody who is on stage, right? We recognize that these spaces are here, but especially in this digital world, as we're so engrossed in the digital transformation, it might seem easy, right? You can send out as many LinkedIn requests a day as you please, and you can make a whole bunch of cold calls and cold emails from, email aggregate sites that you might not necessarily know, but in the sake of networking, you can expand your reach. But it also can be pretty difficult to understand, what does Blackness look like in the creative industry? And so coming here, it was fantastic to see. We are here, and I don't see that in my everyday environment. I've helped to create programs like that at my firm, but to see, you being here at your firm and other individuals being here in their respective spaces in all forms of creativity, right? That was super impactful, and that leads to the second part. Having wonderful conversations with the other ambassadors and realizing that each of you are also hungry for change. That was a large part of what I had to do when I was at the university level. It's not always about going up to someone who is a couple decades in or years in. You might think, oh, I'm an associate or junior to mid-level. I have to only learn from folks who have been in the game. I've had extreme life-changing moments from learning from the people who are alongside me and going through life in a similar cadence. So that essence of reverse mentorship, humility, and vulnerability that you get from folks that still look like you and you can learn from, that's been super impactful. So I'm very excited to go back and continue to bring that change of working with each other to be that change, to be the next panelist, to be the next agency disruptors, industry disruptors. That's very powerful, and I'm very excited to create an ecosystem of Black success within the global creative community.
When I take the time to think about disruptive things that I've learned this week, I can think of two things. So first of all, I was afraid of coming to this festival, like even before CCDC, because I thought that only male, white CEO men were able and capable to come here, because they are always talking about prizes and about the awards, and they are always like supporting them to lobby and to articulate ways to get the prizes, bronze, gold, etc. So I thought the festival was about it. But the most disruptive thing is that we barely talked about prizes this week. We barely talked about awards, And also we talked a lot. We talked to Joyce, on the tour that she made with us. And she was talking about how critical we have to be about the campaigns that win the prizes. And also, Spike Lee talked to us yesterday about it, about how critical we have to be, how critical our visions have to be when we are talking about prizes. So it's not only because a campaign won a prize that it's good. You have to have critical vision about it. So that's something that I learned here. And also, of course, that's a place for you to build your career, to go forward with your projects, to grow your business or something, to get a promotion. But the disruptive thing about it that I learned this week is community. I'm coming back home to Brazil now, and it's just pulsing in my head the word community, because we were talking about it, and I listened and I heard the word community in almost every panel I went, and not only in the panels that I went, but also in the conversations I was having with people. How can we build a platform to not being the last ones, to be the first ones. We have to make sure that other people can come after us. Our mentors just told us that we have to make sure that the door is open. So that's what what community is for me. And also, I learned a lot about community with you, Amaula, with Abby, Miles, Alexander, Emmanuel, Fran, Idam, Ashley, Kira, Yolanta. You guys talked me so much about community this week. In conversations, you guys have no ideas. In words, you guys have no idea. I learned a lot from you this week.
Thank you for your contributions to continue to disrupt the industry. And as we close out, something that Adrian always says is don't just talk about it, but be about it, show up, show out. That's exactly what you did. I want to hear from each one of you how you will continue to show up and show out. Like, what will you take from this festival back home? And you briefly already hit on some of that, but feel free to double tap some of those points you want to really take home.
Well, community, make sure that's a platform that keeps bringing people, not here, but a platform that opens new opportunities, new doors to my community back Brazil.
Community is a big topic, so I definitely did get some contacts for people who I'd like to bring back to my Dillard community, not only in my field, but just yesterday we had Mr. eBay, who's making a change in the medical field, and I thought he would be great to talk to the pre-med students. I'm not one, but he has definitely shown that he's changing the community, and we definitely need more Black people in that medical field. So just bringing him to speak to them, or bringing a film person to speak to film majors, or just met this wonderful lady at one of the events at McKinney, and just bringing her on to talk to women on campus, to tell them about finding your voice more and being more of an advocate for yourself as a Black woman. Just really making those connections to inspire other people, especially people at my university, to let them know in any field you go in, you have to be a disruptor. So.
I plan to use this experience to keep excelling by basically staying in contact with all the people that I've met this week and really developing those relationships. One person in particular I'd say is Ryan Johnson, the CEO of Community. Turns out he does a lot of events up at my HBCU, North Carolina A&T State University. And so now that we have that relationship and that connection, we plan to work together, try to get more exposure to the events, and really just bring more knowledge to the campus overall. And so I plan to do that with all the people that I've met this week, to keep developing those relationships, expanding my network, expanding my knowledge, and really just moving forward in the right direction.
Kind of piggybacking on Miles, just bringing these different type of, people and programs back to my school, especially like Ryan's community. we were talking, and I was like, yo, how do we get this back to Morehouse? And it turned out that he was already at Morehouse. There was just not enough exposure about it, you know. So just getting those programs out there, and even the other people on the panels, when if they're not busy, hopefully being able to get them back to our schools and talking. And yeah, I would just say that. And I would also want to say, I want to shout out a couple people: Emmanuel, Camarco, Chris. You don't see a lot of black men out here, So for them to be able to take Miles and I under their wings and let them come with them anywhere, literally, like it was no matter where it was, they were like, well, let's go, we're out, So just learning from them. Chris and I had a really long conversation one of the first few days here, talking about business, plans for the future. Gave me amazing advice, and it's the same goes for all Camarco and Emmanuel, So I would just say, shout out to them first and foremost. But bringing everything like this back to our schools is probably the biggest thing, because and even our communities from back home, because we all know people who would thrive here. They just don't know anything about it, and they haven't seen anything better. They're still at home, trying to do what they can do. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a space for us here, and it needs us here. So I would just say, bringing this back to our community and showing others that we're coming, and we're coming, and we're ready. So that's what I would say.
Well, Amal, I don't know if you would agree. I certainly echo everything all the other panelists up here have said. It seems like the theme of strategic partnerships. No? Okay, fell flat. But yeah, I think in short, like everyone said, service to our communities, service to our clients as well, and those who are already in the professional space, helping them to understand new verticals, global perspectives, the importance of creativity, and also incorporating and inculcating a culture of creativity in our own environments. And then certainly agree, going back to our individual communities and understanding and sharing what you learned here, the connections being a bridge really between what's available and what has not been and what is yet to come. So very excited to go back and continue to add value to our communities and the clients with which we represent.
I also need to shout out my Spellman sister, Naja. Wave your hand. I gotta shout you out because I gotta represent my AUC sister. So yeah.
We love it. We love to see it and continue to support each other and build community. Like, this is now your community. Please stay in touch with everyone. Thank you so much for lending your perspectives and being incredible advocates about what CCDC is all about. So thank you. And thank you to all of our ambassadors. We are just so proud of each and every one of you. Thank you for showing up and showing out.